Miller and his attorneys. Defense, please call your first witness.
Your Honor, at this time we call Joanne Lowell.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Joanne Miller.
Ms. Miller, good morning. Can you please tell us
Sorry.
where you live?
I'm Joanne Lowell. You asked me my name. I'm Joanne Lowell.
Ms. Lowell, can you please tell us where you live?
At 1239 Brown Court, Center Township, Pennsylvania.
And what is your relationship with Mr. Miller?
He's my husband.
And at the home that you live in, who else lives there?
My daughter, Cindy Lowell.
And how old is she?
She's 7.
And can you briefly describe your relationship with Mr. Miller?
John is my husband. We've been together about 3 or 4 years. He owns the house in Center Township, and my daughter and I live with him.
And how would you describe John himself in terms of him being the king of the castle, basically?
Well, I mean, he's my husband. I love my husband. He can fly off the handle sometimes. He can get angry. I mean, people are emotional. He scares me sometimes when he gets angry. But much to his credit, he's very protective of me and our home and my daughter.
Are you familiar with his military background?
Not so much. I know he was in the Navy. I know he did 2 tours in Vietnam. Was on the ground, I think, for the Marines or something in Vietnam. I know he has a military background.
We're going to briefly talk about his physical condition. Are you aware that Mr. Miller had a triple bypass surgery?
If you're talking about the heart surgery that my husband had, yes, I knew that.
And what, if any, how has that changed him, if you know?
I don't know how it's changed him. I know that he wouldn't be, in my opinion, as his wife, he wouldn't put himself in a position to get into a physical altercation.
Let's talk about your ex-husband, Mr. Lowell, for a minute, shall we? Do you have a PSA against him?
Actually, it's a PFA. It's a protection from abuse against my ex-husband. Yes, I do.
Okay, and can you briefly describe why you have that against him?
Sure. My ex-husband, who is Cindy's dad, I guess it was about 3 years ago, was in February. It's February 10th, 2011. And I was at my mom's house. And she lives like 5 minutes from where we live. Yes, ma'am?
Was the date February 14th?
It could have been. It could have been.
You need your memory refreshed in terms of the date of this protective order.
Are you asking me about the order, Counselor, or are you asking me about the date?
Hold on, Ms. Lowell. Lowell? What's the objection?
Just the relevance about this PFA.
Okay, defense, what's relevant?
The relevance is, again,
It's we.
Okay, Roach.
days. Ask me the question again, please.
Okay. The restraining order that you have against your husband, what was the date? In fact, the incident that occurred at your mother's house, what was the date?
The date of the incident was February 10th, 2011.
And then the restraining order itself was,
On Valentine's Day. It was 3 days later. It was on February 14th, 2011.
okay. And then there was another time your ex-husband threatened to kill both you and John Miller.
Yes.
Okay. Now, with regards to your daughter, does your ex-husband have visitation with her?
Not until she's 18.
And why is that?
Well, it's because of the abuse. It's because of the protection order. The order itself says that he can't, I think it says he can't be around his child until she's 18.
Were you afraid of Mr. Lowell?
Absolutely. He's crazy and jealous, and yes.
Did you think he would carry out his threat?
That's why I had an order of protection against him, the protection from abuse.
Now, what does Mr. Lowell look like?
Well, he lives on Rick lives on the streets. He's about 5'7", 300 pounds, bald head, gray beard, tattoos are sleeved. I mean, he's got tattoos up and down his arms. He looks kind of crazy.
I want to direct your attention to February 13th, if I may. What time did you go to bed that night?
It was just John and Cindy and me in the house about 11 o'clock.
Okay, what if anything happened after that?
We were awakened by the house alarm at 4:30 in the morning. It's about 4:30.
When the alarm itself went off, did John ask you to do anything?
He told me to call 911.
Okay. And when John went downstairs, did you hear him say anything?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
What, if anything, did you hear John say when he went
Let me
downstairs?
rule on the objection. Overruled.
From downstairs, I remember hearing John tell somebody to get on the ground.
And how many gunshots did you hear?
About 4 to 5.
No further question.
Thank you, Ms. Sokolow. Cross-examination.
Ms. Lowell.
Yes, sir.
So, on the morning of February 14th, you were awakened by the alarm.
Yes, sir.
Your husband went downstairs to investigate.
Yes, sir.
He came back up.
Yes.
Grabbed his gun.
No, he grabbed his gun before he went down.
Okay. So at some point he grabbed his gun.
That's right.
You told him, I'm calling 911.
He told me to, and yes, I called 911.
So you called 911
Yes.
and you told them, let the police handle this.
I told John to stay with me and let the cops handle it.
But John didn't do that. He left. He went downstairs to handle what was going on.
Yeah, he wanted to see who was breaking into our house.
And when you heard the gunshots that morning, you also heard a man yelling in pain.
That's what I remember, yes.
And then after you heard the yelling in pain, you heard more shooting.
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the
This
objection?
characterization of her testimony, she never testified that.
That's not overruled. This is cross-examination. Ask your question.
So you heard the shots and you heard him yell.
Yes.
And then you heard other shots and you heard again more yelling.
After I first heard somebody downstairs yelling, I heard more shots.
And at any point, John ever told you that he thought it was Rick Law down in the basement?
John never told me what happened.
And the PFA that you were talking about earlier, that was issued February 14th, 2008.
It was issued in 2011.
According to the document that you were.
I understand that's an old document, Council.
Okay. So you're saying that you renewed the PFA?
Yes.
Okay. And your ex-husband was 5'7"?
Yeah, that.
Okay, and you don't know the victim in this case.
I do not know.
Do you know if your husband knew the victim in this case?
I don't know if my husband knew him. I mean, he was a neighbor.
He was a neighbor.
He was a neighbor.
And-
But I didn't know this kid. I didn't know him.
And you saw your husband at one point interacting with the victim.
I don't know if it was.
She doesn't know the victim.
No,
The question was, did she observe her husband interacting with the victim at any point?
okay, what's your objection?
She said she doesn't know the
No,
victim.
what's your legal objection? Lack of personal knowledge?
Yes.
Ms. Lowell, if you know the answer to Mr. Bias's question, please answer the question. If you don't know the answer, please don't speculate.
Yes, Your Honor.
No, yes.
Yes.
Did you ever observe your husband engaging with the victim?
I saw my husband yelling at a chubby guy about getting his car out from our house. I do not know if my husband was talking to the victim. So no.
Okay, that's it.
Is there any redirect? Is there anything else from either party for this witness?
No.
Ms. Lowell, you're excused. Thank you. Defense, please call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Before we proceed with that witness, we have a couple of stipulations that we approach.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I be excused from the courtroom?
Yes. Yes.
Stipulation to character. Enter that. Present that to the jury.
Great. Well, he stands
At
as
the very
stipulation.
least, we should call the neighbor who targeted the person.
ahead and fix the positions and we can have, Keisha, witness that you're gonna call. So you wanna do before his service? Yes. Sure, you should.
It's that it's not a house.
Right. We're gonna take a break. Sorry, something came up. Why don't you, go ahead.
The room I think I left my phone in the room that we came from. Can I go check?
Yes, you can. Come back at 11:45 in 10 minutes, okay? And then we're gonna keep going and you know when our lunch break
You know what
is.
room was that we were at?
So we're